Well, good morning. It's Wednesday, and we're working on our practice quiz, getting ready for our real quiz. Originally, my real quiz was going to be on Thursday, and as I tried to make it very apparent on Schoology, I moved it to Monday and Friday. Which, all right, let's say Friday and Monday. It makes more sense. So part of our quiz will be on Friday, and part of our quiz will be on Monday. Which just means that we're going to do our practice quiz today, and then tomorrow we're going to jump into our next unit, and then we're going to come back on Friday and then take this quiz. The other thing I was wrestling with is just simply figuring out how to make it fair, particularly to my M through Z students, because they have been robbed of their time with me. And so what I decided to do was simply looking at a way that we could take the diagramming part in smaller groups. So therefore, I'm not expecting you to be an expert, but collectively with maybe one or two other people, you can figure these things out. Plus, I'm going to be available to walk around, sit in on your group, and make sure that you're on the right track. So once again, this is mostly for my M through Z people, but it'd be unfair for me to do that for M through Z and not do it for the A through L kids. So that's sort of how we're approaching our quiz. So let's take a look at these examples of a big nominative phrases and clauses. I'm sorry, I'm butchering it. It's been really, I know I'm talking about it on Wednesday, but it's Friday for right now, and it's been just a crazy couple days. Anyway, so here we go. Let's take on the class finally persuaded Mr. Marsh to pamper its grades with inane and useless activities with vocab. I could certainly pause this video and restart it, but I thought, you know what? Let's just be raw. Let's just go with however bad it is. So here we go. I'm going to start off with this beautiful color. When I'm looking at this, I'm trying to figure out where I want to start it. I know that's intimidating. So as you're working on your quiz, think about, okay, find just some things you can anchor to. Here is this infinitive. So I'm like, okay, here's an infinitive, which makes a little phrase, to pamper its grades with, and then it goes into a prep phrase, inane and useless activities with vocabulary. All right, but I do know that this infinitive is definitely going to have to be a noun. But I also have Mr. Marsh as a noun, and then I have a verb, persuaded, and then I have class, which is also a noun. All right, well, that's a good place to start. Just kind of seeing things in big chunks is a great way of beginning these mad things. And so let's start with this. I just need a change up. And so I'm just going to start with purple. I think that would just be nice, something different. So here we go. Let's build our baseline here. And I'm going to put my verb in, which is persuaded. All right, so just something to anchor to. Sometimes in life is chaotic. Just anchor to something. So I'm going to anchor to my verb. Verb, you are now my anchor. All right, so now in front of that is going to be my subject, which is going to be class. So here's class. And I'm just going to add in the word the class. I feel confident with that. Here's finally persuaded. I feel confident with that. And now I figure out what I want to do next. Well, I have these two nouns. I have a noun and a noun. Anytime I have two nouns next to each other, there's a couple of different possibilities. Maybe this is my indirect object and my direct object. That's the worst looking D ever. But that would mean that I'm saying the class persuaded to pamper its grades to Mr. Marsh. And that doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. So I'm not real keen on that. Sorry, let's do this. There we go. So I didn't like that. When I have these two nouns, another possibility is like, okay, what's the direct object? Start there then. Say, okay, then what makes sense? What's the class persuading? Well, the class seems to be persuading me, Mr. Marsh, but if you make me your direct object, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do with this now. Like, where's he going to go? So I know that my infinitive has to go up on a tree. So let's do that. Let's just get it up on a tree because that's what we're anticipating. So I'm just going to go ahead and put it up on a tree, and I'm going to figure out things from there. So let's get it up there. So here's my infinitive, to pamper. And I think once you kind of get your infinitive up on a tree, you can pause and ask yourself a simple question. Here's your question. Is that subject working with all the verbs? Is the class persuading? Yes. Is the class pampering its own grades? Pampering means sort of like it's boosting and making them better. I'm like, no. The class isn't pampering its own grades. What it sounds like you're asking me, you're asking Mr. Marsh to pamper your grades for you, to kind of boost your grades with some easy activities. You're like, oh, that means that Mr. Marsh must be sort of working with this infinitive. He must be the subject of the infinitive because class can't be. And so be ready for that on your quiz. Be ready for me to give you a subject of an infinitive. So therefore, I must be sitting up there, and that's what's happening. If remember, you can oftentimes hear the word for with it, and I didn't put it in this sentence because you don't have to, but you could say the class finally persuaded for Mr. Marsh to pamper its grades. That's fine. Well, that makes sense. Now that makes me so happy because now I can see where the rest of the sentence is going to go. Mr. Marsh is going to pamper what? Direct object. Grades. And we'd say its grades. And then we have this prep phrase, which kind of splits with activities. And then we have two adjectives, inane and useless activities. Inane sort of like means mindless. And so it's not a grade with activities, but I'm pampering it with those activities. So I'm going to come down with. And when I come across, I want to, Jeffrey, come on. Sorry, everybody. Like, seriously, it's been a crazy Friday. Here we go. Let's go across with activities. And now I have these two adjectives. I have inane and I also have useless. I'm not sure what the weather's like on Wednesday because that is a couple days in the future from where I am right now. Here's Anne. But I got to tell you, it's Friday. And if you remember back to last Friday, it was rainy and really cold outside. I love the fall, but this is a little bit cold for me. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting old. We have with vocabulary. There are activities with vocabulary, so let's build off of that. So let's come down with and over with vocab. Maybe it was just the calmness of writing in purple, but man, that felt great. Look at that. Now, I have this verb going into this infinitive. I can't neglect the fact I've got to put a line here. This is an action verb, and this is my direct object. The class persuaded what? And then it goes into this. So because I have a subject, action, verb, direct object, this makes this, say collectively, pattern 7. Very popular pattern. All right, so that's the first sentence. Once again, this is something that I need you to be able to do collectively with a small group of 2 or 3 people in your class when we take this part of our quiz. And I think when we start brainstorming and working together, you're going to be just fine. Plus, you add in my expertise to kind of walk around and make sure you're not too far off. I think we're going to do well on this quiz. And that's my goal. I don't want to see anybody not do well. I want to see everyone do really, really well, particularly under the circumstance of my being in and out of class so much recently. Okay, I'm going to pause my video. I'm going to go on and do number 2, but I want to make 2 separate videos, not like our super long video. I'm just mumbling now.